have that on the Catawba or any of the Santee or any of them watery, that would be very helpful. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any more questions, ideas, suggestions? Yes.
Is there anything we can do, any action that we can take to help you? I mean, clearly, we all seem to be together on this. Is there somebody out there in the state of South Carolina that needs convincing to help us along that we could focus on?
I don't think so. No, I think we've got a pretty solid consensus among
and you
all
think
parties.
You think the budget request is reasonable and solid?
I know it's reasonable. I hope there's money in the budget to provide it, because this is one where we need to not try to be penny wise and pound foolish. I mean, this is a very important case, and it represents a very important thing short of war or some other catastrophes like that we suffered over the history of our state. This is a very dangerous issue for the future of the state.
One thing I would add is that for everyone in here to please take this information that you've heard today and tell folks in your community, your opinion leaders in your community, your local government folks, let them know exactly what's going on with the case, let them know what's at stake. Even if you could encourage your local leadership to talk, and many of the folks in the legislature are here today, but there are others that aren't. Make sure your local folks know to thank them for the leadership they're showing and supporting this case and funding this case. That's very important. The most important voices that they hear from are going to be your local folks, your local opinion leaders, your local town, city, and local chamber folks as well.
Well, and to point out something on that tail end is that it's not just about the Catawba Basin. If we look at the future of this case, it's going to affect all the basins in the state. So if we can make everybody understand that, I think, not that we've had any opposition so far, but we can get more people involved in understanding how important it is to fund it from the other basins. Because this will affect the PD Basin, it will affect the Savannah Basin, it will affect the whole state. Whatever the outcome is, it's going to be the precedent that we have to deal with.
Question, if somebody has some information that they think would be helpful to the case to prove the harm that we are experiencing or likely to experience, how should they contact us, or what should they do?
They can call me, or most people, probably over half of this room has my direct line. If not, I can give it to you. You can call me, you can email me, any of us, but we, I know that Rick Lee and Rick Noble know that they can call. They've got my personal cell phone. You can call if you've got any information.
Yes, sir.
We've had work at the state level for several years on the water withdrawal bill for surface water. And I know early in the game we talked about it would be helpful to this case if South Carolina had that in place. Any thought as far as what's the odds or perspective of that going through this year? And is it important for this case?
One moment. For reasons involving the case, I will not comment on that.
This question is for Mr. Cook, if I may. Is it conceivable that you can ask a governmental agency to testify on the state's behalf? In other words, the Environmental Protection Agency. Obviously, in their workings, they're increasing or being more stringent on the number of particulates that can be dumped into a body of water, say, by industry. If water is drawn from the basin, yet the industry's release of particulates haven't changed, but the level of the river lowers because of the drawing of the water, could North Carolina or any entity be held accountable for pollution problems based on the withdrawal from there? And can the EPA be called to testify?
Yes. There is a lot of study that has been done on that very topic in terms of diversions of water, particularly where a basin or a river is threatened or endangered, that really enhance the phosphorus content in the river. Charles knows a lot more about that than I do, but yes, the answer to that is yes. Whether the EPA particularly would be cooperative or not, that's another question. But you know, the answer to the question is yes, they could be.
And one of the big issues, that goes back into the economic impact on South Carolina. If there's less water in the river and we have more pollution, or the same amount of pollution coming out of North Carolina, but less water in the river, then we're not going to be able to permit industry in South Carolina. So we're not going to be able to bring industry in. So that's a big issue for us.
Yes, sir.
What discussions, if any, have taken place with North Carolina about having some type of compact like they have for the Delaware River or the Great Lakes?
I think all those things were discussed before we brought this suit in. What was the date that we filed the papers?
We filed in June of 2007.
Many conversations like that. Wes Hayes, for example, and maybe some others in the room that were involved in those conversations. But my understanding, I was not involved in any of those efforts, but other than to say I was informed that they were all led nowhere.
Is there some thought to trying to renew? I know you tried to contact the various North Carolina officials.
Oh, we know, we went to see, I went to see them, and the others went to see them, and Charles went up there. And, I mean, this has been the speaker, the governor, everybody has been involved in attempting to enhance our communications with them, and they've talked to us quite freely, but we just don't get any satisfaction.